Alright, a very good morning, students. And today we will be starting with the ninth chapter in your text, First Flight, the chapter titled Madam Rides the Bus by Valikanan. Alright, now before you read the story, a brief synopsis is given at the very beginning, letting you know what you can expect of the story that you will be reading in a short while. It goes something like this. In this sensitive story, an 8-year-old girl's first bus journey into the world outside her village is also her induction into the mystery of life and death. She sees the gap between our knowing that there is death and our understanding of it. So the lines seem a bit deep, alright, wherein it talks about our understanding and knowledge about something as gruesome as death. And yet it talks about an 8-year-old girl's maiden journey on a bus and how she experiences life firsthand. Right now, this is a very nice story and shouldn't be very difficult to understand as well. So I'll get on to the text right away, right? So let's just start with the text. Now, this story has 4 parts, and so we'll be doing this in 2 subparts, wherein I will create 2 videos for this chapter so that you can have better understanding of the chapter as we take it part by part. So we begin with the first part, and we begin. There was a girl named Valliyamai who was called Valli for short. She was 8 years old and very curious about things. Her favorite pastime was standing in the front doorway of her house, watching what was happening in the street outside. There were no playmates of her own age on her street, and this was about all she had to do. But for Valli, standing on the front door was every bit as enjoyable as any of the elaborate games other children played. Watching the street gave her many new, unusual experiences. So Valli Amai, short Valli, she is a young 8-year-old girl who usually just stands on a doorway and looks at things pass by. She does not have any other children about her age with which she can go out and play with, but she doesn't mind just standing on the doorway looking outside because for her it is as exciting as any other thing, alright? Because it gave her many new, unusual experiences. The most fascinating thing of all was the bus that traveled between her village and the nearest town. It passed through her street each hour, once going to the town and once coming back. The sight of the bus, filled each time with a new set of passengers, was a source of unending joy for Valli. Day after day she watched the bus, and gradually a tiny wish crept into her head and grew there. She wanted to ride on that bus, even if just once. This wish became stronger and stronger until it was an overwhelming desire. Valli would stare wistfully at the people who got on or off the bus when it stopped at the street corner. Their faces would kindle in their longings, dreams, and hopes. If one of her friends happened to ride the bus and tried to describe the sights of the town to her, Valli would be too jealous to listen and would shout in English, "Proud, proud." Neither she nor her friends really understood the meaning of the word, but they used it often as a slang expression of disapproval. Over many days and months, Valli listened carefully to conversations between her neighbors and people who regularly used the bus, and she also asked a few discreet questions here and there. This way, She picked up various small details about the bus journey. The town was 6 miles from her village. The fare was 30 paise one way, which is almost nothing at all, she heard one well-dressed man say. But to Valli, who scarcely saw that much money from one month to the next, it seemed a fortune. The trip to the town took 45 minutes. On reaching town, if she stayed in a seat and paid another 30 paise, she could return home on the same bus. This meant she could take the 1 o'clock afternoon bus, reach the town at 1:45, and be back home by 2:45. On and on went her thoughts as she calculated and recalculated, planned and replanned. So she used to see a lot of things while she was just standing on the doorway. But the most fascinating thing, the thing that fascinated her the most, was the bus which went from her village to the town, and from the town to her village. It passed her house every day. And it fascinated her immensely. All right, every day she would see the bus take a load of person to the town. While coming back, a different set of people would be on the bus, and she found it fascinating, to say the least. Some of her friends who had traveled by bus tried to describe what the town was like, how the bus ride was to Valli, but she stopped them by shouting proud, proud in English. All right, she did not know the meaning of the word proud, neither did her friends. It was just something that they said, all right, over and over again if they disapproved of something. So it was like a slang for her, all right. It did not hold the true meaning of the word. We know what proud means, right, being vain. But to them, it was just an English word, proud, proud, which they use to show disapproval. So for months, she listened to people, her neighbors, talk about the town. She asked questions, and bit by bit, the information that she built, she found out that it takes 45 minutes for the bus to reach the town, and 45 minutes from the town to reach her village. And a one-way ticket costs 30 paise. All right. Now, to the elders, that amount was not much. But for Valli, an 8-year-old girl, it was a fortune. So she started thinking and calculating, and according to her, if she goes on the bus at 1 in the afternoon, she will reach the town by 1:45. If she just stays on the bus, pays another 30 paise and comes back, she will be home by 2:45. So that is the plan that is growing in her mind. All right, she plans to save up 60 paise so that she can go to the town and then come back to the village. All she wants to do is enjoy the bus ride. Now we come to the second part of the story. Well, one fine spring day, the afternoon bus was just on the point of leaving the village and turning into the main highway when a small voice was heard shouting, "Stop the bus! Stop the bus!" And a tiny hand was raised commandingly. The bus slowed down to a crawl, and the conductor, sticking his head out the door, said, "Hurry then! Tell whoever it is to come quickly." "It's me!" shouted Valli. "I'm the one who has to get on." By now the bus had come to a stop, and the conductor said, "Oh, really? You don't say so." "Yes, I simply have to go to town," said Valli, still standing outside the bus. "And here's my money." She showed him some coins. "Okay, okay. But first you must get on the bus," said the conductor, and he stretched out a hand to help her up. "Never mind," she said. "I can get on by myself. You don't have to help me." The conductor was a jolly sort, kind of joking. "Oh, please don't be angry with me, my fine madame," he said. "Here, have a seat right up there in front. Everybody move aside, please. Make way for madam." It was the slack time of day, and there were only 6 or 7 passengers on the bus. They were all looking at Valli and laughing with the conductor. Valli was overcome with shyness. Avoiding everybody's eyes, she walked quickly to an empty seat and sat down. So now her plan has come into play. One fine spring day, as the bus was going through the village, a small voice shouted, "Stop the bus, stop the bus." The bus slowly stopped, and the conductor looked outside and he said, "Fine, whoever stopped the bus, please get on." And he saw Valli standing there, a young girl. And she says, "It is I. I stopped the bus. I'll have to go to town. I have work." And she showed him the money. And the conductor says, "Fine, don't pay me now. First you get on the bus, then you pay me. Come, let me help you." But Valli says, "No, I don't need your help. I can get on the bus myself." And the conductor was a jolly fellow, right? He liked joking around. And so he jokingly said, "Oh, please don't be angry with me, my fine madam. Here, have a seat right up in front. Everybody move aside, please. Make way for madam." So he was just joking with Valli, and since it was a lazy afternoon, there was only 6 or 7 passengers on the bus, and they all started laughing, all right. And Valli was overcome with shyness. But her wish to ride the bus was stronger than the shame that she was feeling at the moment. So she just walked in the front and sat in the empty seat. "May we start now, madam?" the conductor asked, smiling. Then he blew his whistle twice, and the bus moved forward with a roar. It was a new bus, its outside painted a gleaming white with some green stripes along the sides. Inside, the overhead bar shone like silver. Directly in front of Valli, above the windshield, there was a beautiful clock. The seats were soft and luxurious. Valli devoured everything with her eyes. But when she started to look outside, she found her view cut off by a canvas blind that covered the lower part of the window. So she stood up on the seat and peered over the blind. The bus was now going along the bank of a canal. The road was very narrow. On one side there was the canal, and beyond it, palm trees, grassland, distant mountains, and the blue, blue sky. On the other side was a deep ditch, and then acres and acres of green fields. Green, 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 as far as the eye could see. Oh, it was all so wonderful. Suddenly she was startled by a voice. "Listen, child," said the voice. "You shouldn't stand like that. Sit down." So now the conductor, before starting the bus, he started to joke a bit more. He looked at Valli and said, "Can we start now, madam?" And he blew 2 whistles and the bus started moving. Now this bus was brand new. It was a white bus with green stripes painted on the side, and inside the seats were soft and luxurious. The pipe where people can hold on and stand while the bus moves was all shiny and silver, and Valli enjoyed all these things very much. She then tried to look outside, but she saw that the lower part of the window was covered with the canvas. So she got up on the seat to look outside. And as she was looking outside, the bus was passing a canal. And there was greenery everywhere, and it looked very beautiful. And Valli was lost in the view. She was enjoying it. Suddenly, a voice called out to her, and the voice said, "Listen, child, you shouldn't stand like that. Sit down." Sitting down, she looked to see who had spoken. It was an elderly man who had honestly been concerned for her, but she was annoyed by his attention. "There's nobody here who's a child," she said, haughtily. "I paid my 30 paise like everyone else." The conductor chimed in, "Oh, sir, but this is a very grown up madam. Do you think a mere girl could pay her own fare and travel to the city all alone?" Valli shot an angry glance at the conductor and said, "I am not a madam. Please remember that. And you have not given me my ticket." "I will remember," the conductor said, mimicking her tone. Everyone laughed, and gradually Valli too joined in the laughter. The conductor punched a ticket and handed it to her. Just sit back and make yourself comfortable. Why should you stand when you have paid for a seat? Because I want to, she answered, standing up again. But if you stand on the seat, you may fall and hurt yourself when the bus makes a sharp turn or hits a bump. That's why we want you to sit down, child. I am not a child, I tell you, she said irritably. I am 8 years old. Of course, of course. How stupid of me. 8 years. My. The bus stopped. Some new passengers got on, and the conductor got busy for a time. Afraid of losing her seat, Valli finally sat down. An elderly woman came and sat beside her. Are you all alone, dear? She asked Valli as the bus started again. Valli found the woman absolutely repulsive. Such big holes she had in her earlobes, and such ugly earrings in them. And she could smell the betel nut the woman was chewing, and she could see the betel juice that was threatening to spill over her lips at any moment. Ugh! Who could be sociable with such a person? Yes, I am traveling alone, she answered curtly, and I have a ticket too. Yes, she's on her way to town, said the conductor, with a 30 paise ticket. Oh, why don't you mind your own business, said Valli, but she laughed all the time, and the conductor laughed too. But the old woman went on with the drive. Is it proper for such a young person to travel alone? Do you know exactly where you are going in town? What's the street? What's the house number? You needn't bother about me. I can take care of myself, Valli said, turning her face towards the window and staring out. So when the voice called out after her, telling her to sit down, she looked around and she saw an elderly man, all right? And he was just concerned about his safety. It is not safe, right, to stand up on the seat while the bus is moving. But she was irritated. She said, why should I sit down? I have bought a ticket, all right? I have paid 30 paise like everyone else. I am not a child. And the conductor, like I have told you before, he is a jolly fellow. He likes joking around, so he's still making jokes. He says, don't you know? She is a madam. She has paid 30 paise. And Valli said, no, I'm not a madam. And they started laughing. Everyone started laughing, right? And all this while the conductor is joking with Valli. And then, as the conductor tells her, but you need to sit down, all right? You may injure yourself. That is why we want you to sit down. If you are standing on the seat and the bus suddenly takes a sharp turn or hits a bump, you may fall down and injure yourself, child. And when Valli hears the word child, she says, I'm not a child, I'm 8 years old. And the conductor is still joking, oh my, so sorry, I thought you were a child, you are 8. And all this while Valli is laughing, right? And now another woman intervenes while she is enjoying her. Oh, and in the meantime, she says, you haven't given me a ticket. All right, I will pay you. You give me a ticket. And the conductor says, don't worry, I will remember. And he hands Valli her ticket and says, don't worry. Then a woman comes in, an elderly woman, and she talks to Valli. All right, now she is not in a mood to entertain anyone, or she just wants to enjoy the bus ride. So the elderly woman says, are you all alone, dear? And Valli becomes irritated again. She looks at the woman. She had such large ear holes with ugly earrings, and she was chewing betel nut, all right? She was chewing supari, and the juice was about to spill from her lips, and so she found her very repulsive. And she said, yes, I'm traveling alone, and I have a ticket. And the conductor, again, in jokingly, he says, yes, she has a ticket. She's going to town with a 30 paise ticket. Why don't you mind your own business, says Valli, all the while laughing. But the old woman is still out of concern, all right? She is still talking to Valli. She says, but where are you going to town? Which street are you going to? Do you know where you are going? Do you know the address? Is what the woman asks Valli. So with this, we come to the end of the second part, sorry, and the third and the fourth part will be uploaded in the second video, alright? For now, I want you to go through the first part, and the second part, go through the text, find the difficult words, underline it, and find the meaning as well. No need to do the questions that follow after each part. I will be giving you my own questions when it is time to hand you assignments. Alright? So in the meantime, please read part 1 and part 2. Until the next video, please stay home and stay safe.